Hey, gorgeous. Welcome to the Healing Elevates Relationships podcast. I'm your host, Bernadette Jackson, CEO and Lead Strategist at H.E.R Consulting Group and the creator of Her Way Relationship Intensive course. This podcast was created as a response to my desire to redefine how the world views women with daddy issues. I release a new episode every week, so expect to hear me and my guests discussing topics, sharing stories, and gaining insights from the perspective of a fatherless daughter and the people who love and support us. If this is your first time here, here's what I want you to know. You deserve amazing relationships, and nothing you've done or experienced disqualifies you from that. But here's the thing. Amazing relationships with others happen after you cultivate an amazing relationship with yourself. And how do you do that? Self-discovery, healing, and accessing your authenticity. Let's dive in. Hey y'all, so I am back. I am super excited to have a special guest with me too, actually. It is a new series that I'm doing. It's going to be a couple series. This is the first time that I've ever done it. And so I am super excited to have Roberta and Anthony on today. We're going to be talking about how they have been able to maintain their relationship and their love. And I am really excited to start getting some wisdom from some of our couples who are also fatherless daughters who have made it onto the other side to have healthy and thriving relationships. So Roberta and Anthony, thank you so much for being here today. How are you guys doing?
We are doing wonderful.
Doing great. How are you?
Good. I'm glad to have you. So why don't we just jump straight in? Roberta and Anthony, why don't you tell me how you guys met? What was it like? When did it happen? Let us know. Who wants to start?
I'll start. He wants me to start. You know, we have this running joke that we always say to people when they ask us that question. We actually met in prison.
Ooh.
So literally, we really did. So he was working as a correctional officer and I was working as a nurse. And I was checking him out and he was wanting me to check him out.
Okay.
You want to add something, babe?
Oh, no, you said it the right way. That's it.
So he wanted you to check him out. So what was he doing? He was prancing around the prison cells. He was banging things up. What was he doing? How was he getting your attention?
That particular day, I was up front in the control room, color control room. So I was the one who was letting people in and out, employees in and out, and she was
coming in for an interview.
Coming in for an interview, as a matter of fact. So you can tell she was new to a prison system because she had that fear in her eyes. Mm-hmm. And so the deal is when she finished the interview, she left out and she forgot to get her keys. So I waited till she got to the end of the gate and I called her back in and let her know that she forgot her keys. She came back in, got her keys, didn't say anything, and ran back out. So and again, I just didn't think anything else of her. Thought she was cute, nice looking, and I happened to work with a cousin of hers, which I didn't know at the time. And so she reached back and asked him about me. So
I was checking him out, Bernadette.
Oh, okay.
And wasn't even supposed to be in the control room at that time. Remember that part? Right, exactly. He had come up to relieve another officer.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was almost as if it was meant to be. He was at the right place at the right time.
Right, exactly. She's coming within that 30-minute time period that I was relieving him.
Wow. That's really cool. And that's a narrow window too. So for him to be there at the same time that you were leaving, you guys met like that, that's really cool. I like that. So how did it progress from there?
Ooh.
Well, it's a long, rocky story.
Give me the Cliff Notes. How did you guys get to being married now with children and being happy and thriving? How did that happen?
Ooh. A lot, you know what? A lot of grace, a lot of forgiveness, a lot of patience, and just really wanting to give us a chance. You know, see what we could do together. And something that my husband, Anthony, shared with me, I guess recently, that really, really made my heart just smile so much. He said, and this, I think you said it last year probably, just being able to finish well. You know, the way we start things, we don't really see the value of it. But when you continue to work toward the finishing, and you want to finish well. And so that's what we say. You know, we're in it. We're in it to win. We're not going anywhere. I can't get rid of him and he can't get rid of me.
Right.
I love that.
Right. Exactly. You know, Alexa, I don't know how much you know about us. I don't know how much you and she have talked, but you know, I was getting out of a marriage during the time that I met her. So I was already separated, getting out of my marriage. And she and I, you know, when she and I, we started dating, and you know, we dated for about a year and a half. Then I got a promotion, and I was moving away from that particular city that we was in, and I invited her to come with me. Not really thinking that she would, but she did. And
he didn't really want me to come, Bernadette.
Yeah. So, you know, so she did. She came with me. And like I said, you know, and again, I'm 26 and she was at the time 22 years old. So we both was young, you know, and again, she was a single mother of one, and I was a divorced father of two at the time, because I just got out of the military, active duty at that particular time. And I was in reserve, still in military reserve. But anyway, you know, we moved down to Albany, Georgia, where I was still in correction. And like I said, we moved in with one another. And, you know, like most couples, we have our trials and tribulations. Like I said, and she fought through it, I fought through it. We ended up getting married. We lived together we were together for about 6 years altogether. And we actually ended up getting married within that, I think about the 7th year. And we stayed together. We ended up getting pregnant with our child together, Austin, which he's 21. We'll be 21 this year. So we ended up getting married. We only stayed married for 1 year.
Can you say one? Can you say one, Bernadette? One.
Yeah. Out of all that living together, we got married and was able to stay together for 1 year. You know, again, like I said, we both you know, was doing our own thing, so to speak. And we got divorced. And so after that, we stayed divorced for what was 4 years?
Three years.
About 3.5 years. 3.5 years. And we ended up getting back married, getting back together.
Look at her face.
Wow. So how long have you guys been married collectively now, altogether?
We were married in 2005.
Yeah.
In 2005.
And we married the first time in 2000.
Okay.
So I met him in 93.
Right.
Okay.
So almost a 30-year history.
Yeah. That is a long time to know someone, to get to understand who they are, to understand their nuances, and to see them work through things and all of that. So that's a lot of wisdom between the both of you, I'm pretty sure. Understanding exactly how to deal with each other, when to give space, when to give grace, when to speak up, you know. This is, go on, sorry.
It's a learning experience every day, no doubt.
Oh, sure, I bet. So Roberta, you and I have spoken about the fact that you are a fatherless daughter and what that has meant for you in relationships and things of that nature. How do you think the lack of the relationship with your father has affected your views on relationships with men?
Oh, it truly, and you know what? I know that it truly affected it, but I didn't realize how much. Probably within the last 10 years of my relationship with my husband, I really did not realize that. And so, because a lot of times we want to blame people, you know, our emotions, being out of control, being unstable. And so I just had to begin to do mirror ministry. I literally continue to look at myself in the mirror and just see who I was from the beginning. And from the beginning, it was my mom and my dad. And what things I was taking from them that I was bringing into my marriage. And it was fair to my husband to judge him based on what my dad couldn't give me or didn't do emotionally for me. And so really being able to be more patient with myself as I grow and develop into who I'm supposed to be for my husband. I'm his helpmeet. And if I'm not helping him, I must be hurting him.
Right.
And when I look at the root of some of the decisions or just my mindset or just judging him based on my dad, you know, the abandonment, the rejection of not having a relationship or not even knowing how to have a relationship with men because I didn't have one with my own dad.
Yeah, and I know exactly what you mean in terms of it's almost as if you're trying to figure out what the relationship needs to be without really having an example to play off of, you know? So it's like you're coming to the table hoping that, you know, your knowledge or what you've seen is going to be enough to really be able to educate you on what this new landscape is. And a lot of times it isn't. And so we do bring our biases, we do bring our limiting beliefs and things of that nature. But can you expand a little bit on maybe a time that you remember when you did project some of what your father was not able to do with you onto your husband and how you were able to realize that that's what you were doing?
Well, it was really when we first moved in together, we were still dating. And I remember him telling me every time I would get upset with him, I wanted to run. If you remember that, used to tell him, I just wanted to run because I was just I guess I was just so used to hiding, number one, and then just not really having anybody to stand up for me because my dad never protected me because he wasn't there. And so I just said, I figured if I leave first, then he can't leave me.
Yeah.
So and just being able to just reject someone before they reject you.
Yes. Yeah, that is so typical. So I resonate with that 100%. Anthony, what is coming to mind for you when Roberta is telling you some of these things that you had to witness or you lived through, or some of these realizations that she's sharing with us now?
No, I'm actually just like, I think most people, men and women alike, whatever we either missed from our parents or we didn't get from our parents, we normally try to project it to the person that you're with, And I think that's just typical of most people, and that's the thing that we can't do because we're going to bring our own problems to you, so we don't need that. We don't need you to give us anybody else's problem that you brought with you, But
yeah.
Yeah,
I completely agree with you. I feel like most people do bring their biases from their parents into relationships, and a lot of them don't even realize that they're doing it, because the issue honestly is that it is something that we see every day regularly. And so for us, like all of the baggage that we bring into relationships from what we see from our parents, or even, our mom or our dad having a relationship, even though it may not be marriage, that to us is normal because that's what we see every day. And a lot of times, because it's so normal, it's easy for us to think that another person who we meet is going to be the exact same way. So when we see different, or when somebody calls to our attention something that we're doing that, even though it's normal for us, isn't healthy for the relationship, it's hard for you to see like, how do I change this? What's the next step? Especially if you haven't seen it. You know what I mean?
right.
So Anthony, when you used to tell Roberta that, I noticed that every time we have a hard conversation or something that you want to run, how were you able to make her feel safe enough to not actually run, to stay, because a lot of it does have to do with safety.
And honestly, at that particular time, again, like I said, I was young, still learning myself, and not being taught myself how to be a husband. So without my example, I never had an example, even from my dad, even though my dad was in the house with me. in every day, but he still wasn't really present within my life. So I still saw my mom and dad together, but I still never really saw a good example about how to treat a wife. So it was hard for me to, even though I saw her doing this, I didn't know how to get her back in. You know, I was doing everything counteracted, I think, opposed to really helping her. So, you know, and it was just like I said, it's something that we both had to try to figure out together. It took us marrying and divorcing to even try to even get it together.
Yeah. So it took the marriage for 1 year and probably making all of the worst mistakes, having that break that you guys took and learning more about yourselves. I'm assuming, what did you guys do during that break? Did you spend the time in introspection, figuring out what you did wrong and how you can do things better and all of that? Can you talk a little bit about that in between?
Well, the thing about it, well, this is what I think, you know, she had to work on herself, and I also had to work on myself. And the one thing that we both learned is that, you know, she looked in the mirror. You know, we as people, we want to blame the other person so bad. We don't take any of the blame ourselves. But that's something that, you know, she had to realize that she had just as much blame in our marriage failing as I did. You know, it's easy to blame for people to think that it's always a man. Yeah, maybe I did. I know I had a lot to do with it, but she also had to realize that she too had a lot to do with our marriage failing. So when you can both realize that and mature enough to understand that this way it didn't fail because of one person, it failed because of both of us.
Right.
So, you know, so when you can look at it that way, you can, you know, stop pointing fingers. At least
and do the work.
Exactly, like she said, look in the mirror. You know, you got to look at yourself first before you can look at anybody else.
Yeah. Yeah, I completely agree. That mirror ministry that you called it, Roberta, like that is crucial.
Yeah. I mean, really look at ourselves, but we don't see ourselves.
Yeah.
So that part, like Anthony just mentioned, we were separated and, you know, divorced, but we were doing the work on ourselves, looking at ourselves. And I love something that he shared with me. He said, I want to, you know, when we're in relationships with people, sometimes we look at the grass as being greener on the other side. And he said, just like it takes effort to mow that lawn or to water that lawn, I'm going to do that in my own. And so that really encouraged me to do that for myself as well. You know, if someone is going to invest in me, I need to invest in me.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Ourselves, because we're so busy trying to find somebody else.
Right. And the thing about us, when we divorced, we didn't divorce to get back together. Really, we didn't. We divorced to stay apart forever. You know, we just raise our son together and be the best co-parent as we could possibly be. That was my only concern. That was both our only concern. It wasn't about us. Was there some tension between us early in the divorce? Yes, it was. But guess what? We got over ourselves and said, you know, so it's not about us. It's about this child. You know, I wanted him to have a better opportunity than I did. And so we put him first, and we just happened to end up back together. It wasn't anything planned.
Like, you don't remember telling me when you get yourself back together.
But yeah, I didn't. That's something that was said early on.
Yeah, I had to remind.
You had to remind him. So, Roberta, did you see your mom experiencing healthy love when you were growing up?
Not at all. Not at all.
Okay.
Healthy examples around me. And so we tend to sometimes choose what we see, and that or be chosen by something that somebody else see in us. And so for me, that was a struggle because I wanted something different. I wanted it so badly, but I didn't know how to present myself for something different. It was, you know, I had a stepdad, and you know, they married when I was 2. I think my mom said I was 2 years old. And my life was intertwined with just her wanting to be away from home. but not knowing really how to be a wife, because my grandmother passed when my mom was 11 years old.
So your mom didn't really get to see what it was like to be a wife, and so she wasn't able to pass down those lessons to you as well. But I heard you say that you yearned for more, and you yearned for different.
Exactly. And so that's why I feel about me and Anthony.
And so do you feel like that propelled you?
Go ahead.
Oh, what I was saying is that, do you think that the yearning for more and yearning for different attracted you to your husband because you saw something different in him than what you were used to seeing growing up?
I did. And so when I met him, I just saw that he wanted more. You know, he was military, so he had seen more, had done more. He wasn't afraid to leave the small town, because I really wanted to leave the environment where I was, because I felt like if I could just see something different and be with different people, then have a different experience. And so that's one of the things I think sometimes we limit ourselves in the same place of our upbringing. And so for me, and there's nothing wrong for the people that choose to do that, but I knew I needed to see more, because I didn't grow up traveling, being a teen mom, but I wanted more. And then my mother, of course, had me early as a teen mom, so we didn't travel. And so not even cross town. I mean, in a small town, we didn't even go cross town. And so I just wanted to be, I guess, be willing to do the work to get the different outcome.
So what do you think the limiting beliefs that you had to let go of in order to have a prosperous marriage? What do you think some of those things were?
Definitely that I deserve the best, because I honestly didn't believe that I could have a good marriage, because I think I was judging it based on what I saw growing up. That wasn't a good marriage. They just stayed together. And my husband and I, we don't want to just exist and just stay together. We want to enjoy the benefits of being in a covenant relationship, of being able to grow, I mean, literally grow and glow together. Because to me, of course, he's not the same person that I met at 26, and I'm not the same person that he met at 22. And I think sometimes we limit ourselves based on who they were when we met them, and we want them to stay stuck in that place. Oh, when I met him, he was da 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 da, and I was this. Stay in that past. And so good of the past, we want to stay there, but then the bad of the past, we want to forget about that part. And so for me, the limiting belief for me is that I deserve, and I really want to work at the part of me that feels and know that I deserve to have a great marriage, not just a good marriage, but a great marriage.
Yeah, definitely. So you feel like you needed to work on your worth and feeling like you were worthy of experiencing more and different. So what areas of your emotional life do you think needed extra attention from your husband, just so that you can start to feel what you wanted to, in terms of deserving more and wanting more and just wanting to see different and all of that? What areas do you think needed some extra attention from him?
Well, for me, it's just the emotional, and that part I had to come to realization of who he was and not who I want him to be. You know, so I think that emotional instability of trying to go back and like do a remix on what I saw growing up, like it existed. And so for me, just the reality, for that emotion of the reality of my life and what I wanted from him, I would let him choose to give me what he was available to give me, instead of having times we raise the bar so high that we can't even see the bar. And I think, you know, growing up, when I looked at my mom and to see that my stepdad wasn't emotionally there for her, and so I began to make this checklist But then it's like when I began to assess myself and could I do all those things on that checklist if somebody gave me a checklist, you know, if they had for me. And so for me, just being able to free him from that, you know, release him from the prison of the checklist. So that gave me emotional stability, that I didn't have to rely on him and put all the pressure on him for something that is within me. Because I think once we value ourselves, Bernadette, and we show up and date ourselves and love ourselves, then others will know how to treat us. And others will know how to come and be a part of what's already occurring, versus giving them the start, the in the middle, and the finishing part of it. No, you take that, because we're going to be with ourselves till we take our last breath. We're going to be, but another person, they may go before you. And so because you depended so much on them for everything, you're still going to be robbed.
Too often as survivors of trauma, you morph into who you need to be to survive. The problem with this defense mechanism is that even when the time has passed and the pain of the trauma has subsided, you are still wearing your mask. Your most authentic self is tucked away far beneath the surface, and although you yearn for deep connection, very few people know the real you. With everything you've experienced, it can be hard to take off that mask and be free. And let's be honest, sometimes it's easier and safer to have it on. That's why I wrote Access Authenticity. This 75-day journal and strategic guide will guide you through over 170 deep reflective questions so that your most authentic self can stop being your secret identity and start being your truest identity. You deserve amazing relationships, but you won't experience them if nobody ever gets to see the real you. Head on over to Amazon today and get your copy of Access Authenticity Journal Plus Strategy. Now let's get back into this week's goodness.
Yeah, I like that. So pretty much what you're saying is that you need to be able to nurture yourself, to love on yourself, to be able to care for yourself and give yourself what you would like to have from other people. And then when your husband is seeing how you are treating yourself and how you're loving yourself, then he can see your example and know exactly what he needs to do to add to what you're already doing.
I believe that.
Okay. So Anthony, did you notice that there were areas of your wife's emotional life that required some extra love and care from you? And if so, how did you handle that?
How did I handle it?
Yes, humor.
No. Again, you know, I mean, sometimes when you're into yourself more than others, you know, you don't notice a lot of things. And again, I was looking for some of the same things she was looking for. And I think that a lot of times we as people, when we're trying to look for a mate, a lot of times we always say, I want somebody who's going to make me happy. You know, we put the responsibility on the next person. And I was looking for the same thing she was looking for, somebody to make me happy. But until I learned how to make myself happy, you know, I couldn't make her happy. And then that's something I had to learn how to do. I had to stop depending on other people to try and entertain me and make myself happy. I had to learn how to entertain myself and make me happy first in order to really help her out. And in turn, we both have always been good communicators when it comes down to talking to one another. You know, and that's one thing that we always talk about. We can't always put that pressure on you as a mate. You know, we got to do some of the work ourselves. You know, so we kind of worked on that together with one another.
Okay. So you both were making sure that you were giving to yourself what you wanted from the other person. And then just naturally, you guys were able to start giving to each other what you had wanted in the relationship. That's what I'm hearing you saying.
Right. Yes.
Okay.
That is it.
Okay. So what do you think, just in terms of the work that was required for you to have the kind of relationship that you have now, in regards to this being a different experience to what you grew up seeing? what was the work that was required for you to accept that this was possible for you and that you did deserve more and that you were having this experience now, even though it was different than what you saw growing up? What do you think that work is that you had to do in order to accept this new normal for you? And either one of you can answer this.
Well, first, to be honest, because I think too, we you know, for me, going back and forth with the fairy tale. So really being honest on what you saw, what you see, and what is it that you want. So what you saw, what you see, and then what is it that you want. And so what I saw growing up, what I saw around me, what I saw that I had no control over. And then as an adult, what I see, what is facing me, I see me, and I'm a part of this marriage. I'm not the only one in this marriage, but I'm a part of it. And I'm a 100% participant in this marriage. And my husband is a 100% participant in this marriage. So that's what I see. Okay, how does it look? And that's part of us in the working of it. What do I want? So what is it that I want? I want to have peace. He always says that to me, you know, just to have a peaceful environment to where I am not upset with him based on us not spending time together, because my love language is definitely quality time. And his love language, and this is, I'm saying the primary love language, my is acts of service is for him. And so once I began to work on understanding that his love language is not my love language and my love language is not his, and not trying to make it be, because I want to be based on what I saw and what I see, you know, but now I'm understanding what I want and what I will have is what I'm investing in. So the work is just honestly, it's being honest, doing that evaluation, how, and you don't really have a time frame. I think sometimes when we end up divorced, it's not like we didn't know it was coming, but we just don't address it. And so now being able to address those small fires, I give him time if I know I've done something or he's upset or whatever, and vice versa. You know, and I've learned also that I'm the one that like to deal with it like now and get it over, but that doesn't mean he does. So I always make him be like what I am and vice versa. So I've been patient with learning how to do that, because he likes to take the time out, you know, 2 or 3 days to, you know, to get it together before he says something that he can't take back. And I respect that. But then me, I'm like coming at you, let's fix it now, because I don't like sores to fester, because I'm like, I needed to start healing. Because I think when you address a matter early on, you have more time for the healing phase. But again, everything don't heal overnight. So me having to learn how to adapt at this phase, because again, we're not the same people that we were 30 years ago.
Right. Honestly, like based on what you said just now, it sounds like your husband is an internal processor and you're an external processor. And sometimes it can be really hard when you don't understand that about each other. And so like the level of frustration that you have at wanting to discuss it right now, whereas your husband needs to sit with it and collect himself, his thoughts before he addresses it. It's like, oh, we could have been talked about this thing and like, you know, got past it. And your husband is like, no, because my thoughts are not together. I would have then said something I didn't want to say, and it would have messed the whole thing up. So whenever you are really wanting to get to know a person, it's really important to know some of these things that I don't think a lot of people think about, like how do you process information and what do you like in terms of conversations? Do you want to have somebody surprise you with the conversation, or do you want to know ahead of time what the conversation is about so that you can collect your thoughts and things of that nature? So all of that is really important to know, because it can make it so much more peaceful when you do have difficult conversations, to understand how the other person receives information, and how then can you deliver it in a way that feels respectful for them, feels like you're taking them into consideration, and that the whole conversation is really had from a place of grace and not, you know, confrontation. So I definitely love that you know that about each other, and you honor that for each other when you guys are having those conversations.
Now I do. I did not probably 5 years ago.
Right. And I mean, but you learn this thing about it. And that is true. I mean, you're spot on when you said, I am truly internal processor. And you're right. I need, and it's not 3 days, like she said. When I was young, about 3 days. But now give me a few hours to a day, because you're right. I don't want to say the wrong thing. And it is normally not intentional. It's my delivery a lot of times. You know,
to me.
But definitely, we had to learn that about one another. You know, and we give each other our time apart, and we end up. We know when you're apart, you like coming back to one another. So we've learned that also. Just give each other our space.
Yeah, definitely.
My eyes at him now, Bernadette. I just smile and wink my eye at him. So,
and that just makes it everything better now.
It makes it better.
I love it. I love it. So Anthony, why don't you answer that question in terms of what was it that you needed to do to start to learn to accept this new normal of having the type of relationship with your wife that you didn't see growing up with your parents? What was it like? What did you have to do internally in order to feel like, you know what, this is possible for me. I can accept that, you know, like having a great relationship is what I want to have and whatnot. What was that process? Talk to me about that a little bit.
Again, as you said, you know, my parents, they're still together. They're still together now, 54 years together. So they're still both living, thank God on that. And you know, and there's, you know, again, I look at the relationship now, and I see that I don't want to end up the way they are.
Mm-hmm.
They are, you know, even though they're together, you know, they're still just together.
Right.
And I just don't want to just be together with my mate after that.
Right.
So again, the only examples that I think a lot of us had was example we probably saw from either television, what we thought was reality, you know, whether Cosby's or, you know, those fairy tale relationships, even though some of it's true, but it's never going to be that way in a relationship. We all know that. But I just, again, I just wanted to do different. I mean, like I said, they hadn't done everything right, and everything hasn't been perfect between us, but we both don't expect it to be even now. But we just know that we don't want to do the things that's gonna destroy it. You know? And we just want to just enjoy the time that we have together, and just like I said, just try to nurture each other, give each other what I had to learn what it is that she wanted. Same thing, she had to learn what I wanted, and I try to give her as much of what she wants, and not what I think that she needs or want. You know, so you know, I don't know if that answers your question or not, but
yeah, I definitely get it. I get what you're saying. Your parents are together, but they don't have the kind of relationship that you want. And so because you want something different, you had to learn to accept that what you're building with your wife is something that you guys are going to have to build on your own terms. That's what I'm gathering.
that is true. And the thing about it, you know, even though they've been together for 54 years, we also try to be an example to our parents. Truth be told, you know, when they see us, they know that we love each other differently than they love one another. They know that I'm, like I said, the biggest teacher from my dad that I got from him is not to do some of the things I saw him do. You know, just to do it different, because I see how it turned out with them. So my thing is to do it differently. You know, again, mine may not be the perfect way, but I think it's a better way.
Yeah. And a lot of times I feel like being able to see some of the negative examples is a really great teacher in what not to do. And I think that it's just as powerful to know what not to do, especially when you see what the outcomes are, than to know like what to do. So I think that, you know, like that being your teacher is a great way for you to see, okay, this, when my father did this, this was the result, and I don't want that result, so I'm going to go in this direction here. I think that that's an excellent teacher as well.
Right.
So I want to ask you, Anthony, knowing what your wife experienced with her father, in what ways did it make you want to be a better father to your children?
I noticed she didn't get the time that she needed with her father. You know, so you know, again, we have one son together. And I have two daughters and a son. You know, that's not hers. So my thing is, I've always tried to give my kids my time. You know, not being in the same household with them was a challenge. So that definitely was a challenge, but still, I didn't make it an excuse. You know, so my thing was, I didn't want my daughters to be able to say, well, you didn't give me your time when they got older. So if they didn't get into my time, it's because they didn't want it. You know, but I made sure that I gave them my time. I was always accessible and available for them. Same thing with my son. You know, I make sure I'm accessible and available for them. You know, so but that's the one thing that I didn't want my daughters to go through. And not saying that I was probably the perfect father for them, but I definitely was the best father I could be for them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that. And so, Roberto, when you see your husband with your children, when you saw him with your children, especially having the kinds of experiences that you didn't get to have with your father, what kind of feelings came up for you around those experiences?
It made me, for our son as well as for our other children, it just made me value him as a father that wanted to be present. Because I know that due to some of the circumstances with my dad, he couldn't be, but if different choices were made, he could have been. So I think that when I look back and I see how my husband really wanted to be available, but it was hindered, and you know, the opportunities were not there for him that should have allowed him to build those better relationships with his daughter. And I used to get angry a little bit, Bernadette, because I used to look at, here's a man that wanted to be with his daughters, and even now they're adults and there's no reaching out. And so you know, my dad, due to his choices, him being incarcerated, he couldn't reach out. I was the one visiting the prison, you know, to go see him and to establish a relationship, because I didn't meet my dad for the first time until I was 18 years old. So just wanting to have that relationship and, you know, just desiring that. I hungered for the hugs and the love that I saw my husband wanting to give his daughters. And, you know, they were not consistent. You know, he wanted it more, but of course, like I said, due to situations and circumstances outside of his control, he couldn't always give it to them. And I looked at that and it angered me, because I said, here's a man that's free, willing to spend time with his children, and he's not allowed. And versus wanting that even as an adult, still I wanted the hugs. I wanted my daddy, you know, to be proud of me, to want to know what's bothering me, what I like, what I don't like, just to get to know me, just to love me from that little girl. Because I think that we forget there will always be a little girl in the inside of us. And I let my little girl dance. I let her get the pom-poms. I let her laugh and be silly. And I enjoy that. And I don't ever want to rob that, because that part of my journey is why I can heal. Why I heal authentically, because I'll allow it to be what it is. And so I've, you know, grown past the anger. And so now I'm just grateful, because again, we still can do the memories. We still can do things that can still help me to grow and to develop into the woman that I need to be now.
Yeah. So what advice would you give a newly married fatherless daughter, Roberta?
the work has to be done, but it has to start with you. We cannot avoid the work. Sometimes people just want the results, but they don't want the results. They just want to feel good. They want, even if it's for the moment of pleasure that we get. But I want something that's gonna last. So I'm willing to do the work for it. There are bits to something that I can get, that I can endure in, and I can look back and remember what I put in it, the investment I did for it, versus me expecting someone else to do it all. So again, you know, just because I didn't have a father present does not mean that I have to remain fatherless. It does not mean, you know, mean that I can still be wanted and loved by mentors, you know, by even by my husband's covering, you know, with him protecting me. Not that I'm wanting him to be my daddy, but just feel of being appreciated, but just, you know, not being stuck there. Because I think sometimes with us, when we are fatherless daughters, we're angry and then we miss opportunities because of the person that had the reason of the person with the void that gave us that void. And so we're not open to other possibilities of male relationships because we're blaming that man. Well, he's not my dad, he wasn't there. So nobody will ever be there because you can't show up for yourself and let that go so others can come.
Yeah, I think that is such great advice, that you have to do the work first for the results you want to see. That brings me into the last 5 questions that I want to ask you guys, which is really just like a rapid fire type of situation. So I'm going to start with you, Anthony. What is your favorite thing about Roberta?
My favorite thing about her, again, her smiles. Waking up to see her smile every day. Like I said before, waking up every morning, you know, with the "Good morning, baby." You know, like I said, she's easy to love. She wakes up with a positive attitude every day, and you can't say that about a lot of people. You know, so my favorite thing is just to wake up and see it and hear every day.
Love it. What about you, Roberta? What is your favorite thing about Anthony?
He supports me in everything. Everything. He is my biggest cheerleader.
I love that. And so to me, it's almost as if he just empowers you to be the cheerleader that you are for everyone else, because that is absolutely the role that you've taken on. So to know that you have that in your home and you're able to give it to other people, to me, it just seems as if it's a full circle. Like he fills your cup and you're able to fill everyone else's cup in that way. So I love that. What do you think, when you think about the quality of your love, what's the first thing that comes to mind, Roberta?
When I think about the quality of our love, the first thing that comes to mind is real. It's authentic. Like, we don't have room for fake. We're raw, it's real, it's authentic. I mean, I know you said one word, but
no, describe it however you need to.
I mean, really.
Anthony, if there was one thing that you would not want Roberta to ever forget, what would that be?
That I truly love her.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Roberta, besides the obvious, what is one thing that you do together that has improved the connection between you two?
We laugh more now. I think we just laugh more. It's not that serious, you know, because I mean, all of our children are adults. We're still taking care of one, getting him finished, but we just laugh more because we know that we need that. We need more. We need the relaxation. So I think that's what we do now more.
Okay, I like that. And so the last question is, and I'd like for you both to answer that, what's next for you?
That's a great question.
Mm-hmm.
Next. The rest of our lives. Just to make it better, continue to make it better.
Mm-hmm.
And to, I guess, see our visions through that we both have for one another and with one another. You know, like I said, it's just to see our visions.
Okay, I like that.
He's the visionary, so I am going to agree with what he just said.
I like that. I like that. So Roberta, why don't you tell me what you're working on, where people can find you, and what you're most proud of, and we can wrap things up.
Can I say what I'm most proud of first?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, I am most proud of the opportunity that I get to do life with Anthony. Mm-hmm. Just to be able to witness us evolve and transform into better people individually as well as collectively, so that we can build a better legacy for our children and our children's children. That's what I'm most proud of, that I get to really do it with him.
I love that.
And what I'm working on now, I just released the Teen Moms to Beyond journal. And I just want to add this. He is the man behind the Teen Moms to Beyond.
Really?
Ma'am, when we were working in our program and, we had our homework to find our purpose, and I wanted to do something totally different. And I remember he would always check my homework, Bernadette. And he said to me, I know you want to do this, but he said, that's not it. He said, it's something with teen moms. Mm-hmm. He said, you got to do something. It's beyond, because remember where you were and remember how you are now. And I didn't want to do it. He'll tell you, I did not, Bernadette.
She thought it.
I didn't. And so here it is.
Yeah.
Because
right.
I listened to him.
Mm-hmm. And now you have the Facebook group, you have the private Facebook group, and you have the journal, and it's becoming a movement. And yes. Imagine that your husband is the one that had to speak that word into you, like, listen, this is what it is. This is what's needed. And you are the absolute right person for the job. And he saw that in you, and he was able to encourage you to go in that direction. I love that. So tell us a little bit more about Teen Moms and Beyond and where we can find you there.
Well, basically, Teen Moms, like you just mentioned, it is a movement, and we are committed to equipping former teen mothers as well as women who were born to teen mothers so that they can successfully complete their journey. And this is by providing community partnerships so that we can create the tools and the resources that they need, because accountability is needed, education is needed, and definitely support, so that they can build and maintain generational legacies that will transform lives one family at a time.
Wow, that is really powerful.
So we focus on self-care, we focus on time management, money management, personal development, and professional development. So I started this year Table Talk Tuesdays, where we meet in the group with a special guest each third Tuesday of the month. And it's only for like 20 minutes max. Mm-hmm. Had some technical challenges this month and last month, but we're getting it together. But I have a guest that comes, and you bring your plate, and it's just like what it says, it's table talk. Mm-hmm. And so we sit and we just share information. So we did sleep, the importance of sleep. And then we did how to read labels and set a better table. And so working on self-care now. So I'm going to be part with self-care for a minute, because I think former teen mothers as well as women born to teen mothers, we don't take care of ourselves because we don't really know how to. We don't know how to. So yes, we do have the private group, and so they can just request to come in and answer their email address for us and come in and just receive wisdom, receive accountability and support, and just sisters loving on you.
That is awesome. I'm going to make sure that I put the link to the Facebook group in the description of this episode. And I just want to thank both you and Anthony for agreeing to come on and to share your story of this almost 30-year journey that you guys have taken together, and what you have learned about each other, and the quality of the relationship that you're building together, despite not really seeing it in your individual homes. And I'm sure that your children are better for being able to witness the kind of relationship that you guys have had together. So I just want to thank you for coming on and just agreeing to be open about what you have been struggling with, and, you know, what you overcame, and what you guys are doing together just to make sure that you have this thriving relationship.
Well, we appreciate you for the invitation.
Of course. So, of course, this is going to be one of many opportunities that we're going to be giving couples to share their story. And so this is Roberta and Anthony, and we are going to be coming on with a few more next week. So stay tuned for that, and we will see you in the next one. Bye.